In this Swift programming video, I'm going to show you how you can master the art of using Swift, specifically with generics, async await, and URL session. This video is all about how we can take lots of lines of code, over 40 lines of code here, and reduce it down to what we got 20 lines of code here, to then reduce it down to the likes of 4 lines of code or 3 lines of code. And this is what we call mastering Swift, and it's utilizing the full power of generics the whole way, the declarativeness of Swift. This is the whole reason why we use generics, is so we can make stuff as generic as possible, as simple as possible, writing the least amount of code and reusing it everywhere, and so on. So with that said, if you're interested to see how we went through these phases, I've made other videos about writing this code, then writing this code, and so on. But the idea of this video is to show you how we can take this code here and now reduce it down to this code here and go straight off and just use the URL session generically everywhere and receive then a result. With that said, let's just jump straight in. So before we do that, let's just quickly go through a review of what we've got here. We have our URL from JSON placeholder API here, and we're retrieving the posts. And the post file is sat here, has a simple ID and a title. That's nothing more that we really care about, all right? So we do our URL session shared data task with a request. And then first of all, we check to see whether there is an error. Now, if there is an error, we just return the completion handler with the failure, just passing an error here as well. So we can use a switch case over the result and handle this error in any way that we want. Next, we want to make sure that we actually got a 200 status code. If not, then we finalize this one function with failure and a bad request. Then, because we know that the data could still be nil, we check to see whether the data is nil, and if it is nil, then we fail with unexpected error. Other than that, we do the normal get a JSON decoder, and then we decode an array of this type T. Because the type T in this view model is of model protocol and that is codable, then we can decode this nice and simple. We call then the completion handler on the main queue asynchronously with success. Otherwise, we've got a possible decoding error, whereas then we call the completion handler without decoding error. That was how we did it in the first function. And the second function, we could reduce it down because we used a await and async here. We reduced it down to the standard URL session data function here, which meant that if this did throw, we would come straight down to here and we would throw our error very cleanly. And now we know that we've got a data that's a non-nil data. So we check the HTTP response is 200 as per normal. But this time we don't have a completion handler. We could just return our result as normal. We do the decoding, and in the event that we get to line 74, we can return the success items here. Else we return a failure with decoding error. So this is now the shorter version, but this version is still very, very much specific to the view model. However, we are using generics, but we are still specific code using generics. But this code here is what starts making it non-specific, right? Because now all we're saying is, hey, URL session, give me the shared instance of it and fetch all on this one URL. So it's doing a GET request on all of these posts. And we're using type inference here to say, hey, what you should return here is a result with an array of T of model protocol, and also then, or in the event of an error, give me a network error, and then we can return the results here. Okay, so we now got it down to 3 lines of code. This fetch all is an extension of what we're going to make. So with that said, let's just jump straight into creating this extension. Now that I've removed the code, which you haven't seen yet, we can now see that this function does not exist. So we're just going to start at the top here. I'm going to say extension and then URL session. And as we said, we want a function that is called fetch all. And this function is going to take a URL. So let's just make a URL. And it's going to return a result of type T using a network error. Okay. And we know that this is going to be an asynchronous function as well. Happy days. We now need the T. This URL session doesn't care about model protocol, right? All it cares about is codable, and if anything, it only cares about decodable. All right, but we're just going to say codable here. But in the beginning, let's just use decodable to show you that we can actually do it. Now, there's no point me going through all of this code once again because I've just talked through it. So we can just copy and paste this code and place it within inside of here. Now the URL we know already because we've asked for it within inside of the parameters here. And so we do our request as per normal. We do this as per normal, this as per normal. And look, as you see now, it's exactly the same code. And when we build it, everything works perfectly fine. So now you can see that we are not being specific now to a view model. And because the model protocol here, it conforms to codable, and codable is also conforming to, or it is just basically decodable and encodable at the same time. You can see here that this fetch all function satisfies this type constraints because model protocol is conforming to decodable as well. And so when we come and use it here, you can see that we are just literally saying here, get fetch all, and we can see here that it's going to return a result with an array of decodables with a network error. So this is all you basically need to do. And the most that you need to know about in your view model now is just the URL. Now this could come from elsewhere as well. You could put it in you could put it in the constructor as well. So it meant that the view model now doesn't even know about the URL, the endpoint path. So you could make this view model even dumber by putting it there. But it doesn't really bother the view model because that's the whole point of it. It's saying, hey, this is my URL. Now URL session shared fetch all, and it's doing it for us. But we can use this code anywhere where we want basically now. So if we wanted to come straight to our generic view list view here, we could just literally just come here and then put post here, right? And can't assign post to. Okay, yeah, we want view model dot model here. We could just literally assign it to here, and we can still use it. So we now don't really need to care anywhere. If you wanted to embed this type of code within inside of your view, which please don't, then you can do it. But it means that when you only ever need to basically use 2 lines of code everywhere. So it's very, very easily maintainable. And you know that fetch all is not directly linked to anything. This is just pure Swift code here. Apart from your network error, this is completely just a foundation code. All right, there's no Swift UI in it. There's no nothing. You could just extract this out to another framework and pass this framework along how you want, and just extend it as much as you want. Because you might, for example, you might want to just fetch one, right? And you could just copy and paste this function and say fetch. Just say fetch, for example, and I don't know, there might be an ID in this, right? But the URL is doing everything you need already because it's got the information in it. So you could just turn around and say a result T, and that's it, and then just decode a T, and boom, there you've now got just the fetch the single one. And if you wanted to now have a post request, you just now update this, and at one point you could start extracting this code here because now you've got duplicate code. You could start making other checks on this as well. So you don't have to keep this one code duplicate. You can start making other functions to do these types of things. Okay, so with that said, I hope this one video now has highlighted to you how we went from writing all of this code here, to then writing this code here, to then writing this code here. All right. Okay. In this sense, you don't actually need a view model anymore because it's such small amount of code that you can just place it within inside of your generic list view. Just place it within inside of your view. That's perfectly fine, right? So, but that's the power now. This is when you start mastering generics and you start mastering Swift, you start realizing you might write a lot more code. Okay. And when I say you might write a lot more code, that's this code here. But this code is extremely reusable, and you could extract this into a package, and you could use it in every single project that you ever did. And once you've written this code once, you just need to maintain it, and it just needs to abide by the foundation. That's it. You just don't have to worry about it. And so this is the whole point of it: is learning how generics works, learning how to write reusable code, learning how to write modular code, right? But don't, as I've said in other videos, do not do not let associated types and generics control your application. You need to try and be able to extract them out as much as possible and only use the associated types and generics that are really required, all right? Because your application can get infected by generics as well. So this is why you should learn how to use generics with all of the other utilities, the other stuff within inside of Swift correctly. And this is now using generic results. There's nothing wrong with this. Using async and await, using extensions, and we are extending rather than modifying, right? This is what it's all about. It's closed for modification, but open for extension. But this is completely reusable code for every single type as well. With that said, I hope that you've got something out of this one video. I hope you've learned something from this. I hope over the past 4 or 5 videos, I've highlighted to you how important generics are. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and do all of the other social media things that you can possibly do. And if you do have any questions, feedback, or concerns, then let's start a conversation in the comment section down below. I don't do these videos for myself. I do these for you. And hopefully I'm helping multiple people to learn Swift at a high level. We're on like a video 88 now, or 86, 87. I'll have to have a look in the playlist. And I really hope that we can keep going. And I'm hoping to get to maybe 120, 150 or whatever, where we can really take someone from zero knowledge of Swift to expert level of knowledge, and that you can go straight into an interview and show them exactly what you can do. And you can say, this is the person I learnt Swift from. This is why you're going to give me the job. And hopefully they know my videos already and they'll go, exactly, show me this example. With that said, thank you very much for watching. My name is David Dawn. I hope you learnt something today, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.